What's going on, backpackers and campers? My name is Dave and this channel is called Off Grid, and on this channel I like to talk about all things backpacking, hiking, camping, and gear. If you like those things too, please consider subscribing to the channel down below and hitting that like button and that bell for notifications on all new videos that I have coming out. So today I thought I'd mix it up and do something a little bit different. You've probably heard of a lot of different videos where there's other backpackers and YouTubers talking about the gear that they regret purchasing, and that's something that I do plan on making in the near future. But for this specific video, I thought I'd do a video on the gear purchases that I got right the first time around, which is not meant to kind of like toot my own horn in any kind of way, but it's really just to guide you guys in the right directions, basically saying like I thought that I made the right decision for these particular gear purchases, and hopefully you guys will enjoy them as well. So the first piece of gear that I have for you guys, I got a lot of gear that I'm going to talk about today, so I'm going to try to rifle through them as quickly as possible. But first piece of gear that I have for you guys today is the Lanshan Pro 2 and Pro 1. I actually ended up buying both of these tents, and this is from a company called 3FUL Gear. They're a Japanese company. I mistakenly thought they were a Chinese company before, but they're a Japanese company, and have no regrets about buying either one of these tents. I actually have yet to use the two-person version. I bought that one first for me and the fiance, but we have yet to use it together, but I highly doubt that we're going to regret using it out on the field. And then I've also taken out the Lanshan Pro 1 and used that already and really dig it. It is a non-freestanding tent. You have to use a trekking pole or a carbon fiber pole or something like that to get it to stand up, but you know, so in that regard it may not be 100% great for first-time users, but I have no regrets in buying either one of those tents. Those were the first ones that I've ever spent money on, and I don't have any regrets on that at all. The next piece of gear I'm going to talk about is going to be the Go for Wild headlamp. And I actually don't know where the headlamp originates or where it's made from. Could be China, could be somewhere else. But I recently did a video on that. I'll throw that up right up here for you guys to take a look at. And that was just kind of like a first look and unboxing of a new type that I got. But I actually own a couple of different versions of that headlamp, and both of them are super bright. They have different settings on them. They have like a motion sensor tech. The new one that I have is also USB-C rechargeable. So there's a lot to love about it and not a lot to dislike, other than possibly the weight, which it comes in just a little bit heavier than your Petzl Bindies or the 1-ounce headlamp options that are out there, but it comes in at a great price and a super bright headlamp. Highly recommend it. The next piece of gear I'm going to talk about are going to be my trail runners. Now there's a little bit of a caveat here with some of the gear that I'm talking about today. It's definitely the gear that I bought first and got it right within their particular category, but there are some subcategories, and the trail runners here is sort of like an example of that. I ended up buying a pair of hiking shoes first by Adidas, which didn't end up turning out too well. They were a little bit stiff, but the first ever trail runners that I bought I really enjoy, and I actually haven't really talked about them too much, or maybe at all, on the channel yet, but they are by Asics, and I really like them. They're just kind of like generic. They were on Amazon, they were cheap, and I was like, let me just give them a flyer and just try them out, and they wound up working out really well. I'm still using them today, and I got probably a couple hundred miles on them already, and they're still going strong. All right, the next piece of gear that I got for you guys is actually a twofer, and it's kind of in the realm of water filtration. I'm going to go with my Knock Vecto bag, which is a great wide opening kind of bag to just scoop water up pretty easily when you're out in the field. And then I'm also going to go with my Sawyer Mini. Now this is one that like not too many people talk about because the squeeze and the new Platypus quick draw are like taken over, or if you really want to go with an ultralight version, you can go with the Katadyn Be Free. But I love the Mini. The flow rate really isn't as great as the squeeze or the quick draw, but I've never really had any problems with it. It comes with a plunger that you can back flush it with, and has been pretty great for me so far. Alright, I'm going to do the rest of the video with my hood up because this is just insane. It's freezing out here. It's like low 40s and it's really windy over here by this little lake right here. So hopefully you enjoy the backdrop as I'm freezing making this video for you guys. But the next piece of gear I'm going to talk about is going to be my sleeping system. Now just the quilt. It's the UGQ Bandit 20-degree quilt. It's the first ever quilt that I got, and again this kind of goes back to the subtype category. I ended up buying like a cheaper sleeping bag that you know, was ultra heavy and didn't really work out too well. But the first ever quilt that I bought is definitely a winner, and since then I've bought a couple others that have been pretty good too. So the UGQ Bandit quilt I would highly recommend. All right, the next one moving on down the list is going to be right on my wrist right here, and this is actually going to be an honorable mention to my fiance because it was a gift, but that is the Garmin Instinct watch. I really love this watch. It's been in my a bunch of different hiking videos, and then also in one of the videos where I described how to load up maps, GPX maps to your smartwatch. I'll link that right up here for you guys to look at as well. But I love this thing. There's a lot of different things that you can do with it. I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface. I've had it for a couple of years now, and you know, kind of use it for the things that I really love to use it for, but there are a lot of other things that you can do for it, and I'm definitely going to explore it more in the future. Okay, next gear item is going to be my trekking poles. First ever set that I bought was from a company called Bafex, and the first set that I was ever given was actually a gift by some buddies, and it was also by Bafex. It was aluminum poles, but then I ended up kind of graduating over to the carbon fiber version, a little bit lighter, but still very durable and sturdy. So I'd highly recommend that brand. I used them out in the field for a little bit, and now I've since graduated from that one to the Cascade Mountain Tech carbon fiber monopole with the cork handle, just because I like the cork a little bit more, and then also because it has an attachment for my GoPro that I like to shoot videos on. Next piece of gear that I have for you is going to be all of my power banks. Now, this is something that kind of can come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. Almost all of them are pretty rock steady and solid. I think a lot of people end up going towards the anchors or the name brand stuff, but I ended up getting a couple, I think, from RAV Power, and then another one from Power Ad or something like that. If I'm wrong, I'll throw it up on screen. But I now have a 5,000 milliamp version, a 10,000, as well as a 20,000 version, and I love them all. So you can't really go wrong with power banks out in the field, and I would highly recommend you pick one up. All right, the next one I'm going to talk about is going to be my Workman gloves. I definitely could use some gloves today. I'm freezing, but the Workman gloves are a little bit different than your standard gloves out in the field. They're not going to provide nearly as much warmth, but they're ultra durable. I like to use them out in the field for you know, anything from like clearing out your campsite to, you know, making a fire at night, processing wood, just basically dealing with a dirty tent or anything else that's dirty that you don't want to really like get your hands super dirty when you're out there. It's just nice to have that extra layer to be able to just throw on and process stuff that's dirty, so I highly recommend those. Next one that I got for you guys is going to be a sun hoodie. Now, this is another piece of gear that, you know, I've had, you know, different like workout shirts, sweat wicking shirts and things like that. I mean, you can definitely pick up any kind of like workout gear and use that out in the field. You don't need anything super specific to get you out into the outdoors, but I would highly recommend a sun hoodie as well. It has just a light hoodie that kind of comes around your ears and then offers like more of the sleeve protection, and I also got some that have the thumb holes too. You can kind of like put your arms through, and it kind of extends past your hand a little bit to protect you from the sun a little bit more. Again, you don't have to buy something like that, but I would definitely recommend it. It is great as a base layer. A lot of different companies make them. I'm more of a Mountain Hardwear fanboy, yeah, as you can tell here, but a lot of different companies make them, and they're pretty lightweight too. And you can expect the weight of those to be under the 6-ounce range, so they're definitely lightweight. The third to last piece of gear that I'm going to talk about here is going to be my first aid kit, and I still need to dive into my first aid kit and take out what I don't need. But a great first aid kit that I'd recommend to anybody would be the Adventure Medical Kits. They come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. I got the 0.5, which is one of their smaller ones and more lightweight ones, but they have a lot of different stuff that you can check out, and really depends on what you expect or what you plan on needing when you're out in the backcountry, so definitely give them a look. All right, the second to last piece of gear that I'm going to talk about is going to be a bug head net, and that's one of the pieces of gear that hopefully you never have to bust out, but when you need it, you definitely need it. It's basically just a stocking that you put over your face and drape over your face to keep those gnats away, because no amount of permethrin, picardin, or any other DEET or anything that you slap on or slather on or spray on is going to deter these things from getting all up in your face. So having that extra barrier just a little bit to get them off of your face so they're not buzzing in your ears and your eyes is definitely going to keep you sane out there. All right, and we've reached the end of the line here, and that is going to be the last piece of gear I have for you today, and that is the Garmin Inreach Mini. Now, there are many different satellite devices that you can choose out there, and a lot of different things that can kind of go into your own personal choice as to like what you're looking for out of a satellite device, but I highly recommend the Garmin brand. Now, there's a lot of different things that you have to think about, and you know, our personal choices when you're thinking about a satellite device, but I have to say that I think Garmin has some of the best plans for once you've already purchased the device. They're obviously known to be a little bit higher of a price point, but definitely check REI, check those sales. You can definitely get it down a little bit lower. Apologize for this dog right now because he's just going crazy, but there are a couple other names that are in this space. There's Zoleo and a couple others that I've heard of. I wouldn't recommend Spot because they're on a different satellite network, but you know, Garmin is definitely a big name in the tracking and GPS area. I would highly recommend them, mostly, again, like I said, for the creature features that is on the InReach devices, as well as the service plans are just a little bit cheaper. So that's going to do it for me on this one. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know down below what gear choices you got correct when you first started out backpacking. Again, I've only really been in the game for a couple of years now, as far as like backpacking and camping goes, so I've definitely made a ton of mistakes. So if you're looking for that video, and then I'm also planning on doing like a gray area video where I sort of got it right, but then I ended up replacing some other items. Definitely subscribe down below if you haven't already. Hit that like button if you like this video, and remember, guys, if you're headed off grid, make sure you do your research and you make it a safe one. I'll see you guys on the next one. Freezing again. Freezing again. They are by Adidas as well. No, they're not. Know your gear, Dave. Know your gear. Man, it cuts through you. I need some hand warmers. Should have brought my puffy.